So right now, this is free. What's happening is free. Life is free. So there's the idea that somebody is experiencing this life, but it's simply an idea. The idea that you're a soul inside the body is not a reality right here. And all answers that you're looking for are right here in this. They're not separate. They're not, the answers that you seek aren't found in a divided mind. So you're never going to find what you're looking for in thinking. So the answers to all your questions, there is never an answer in time. The true answer, what you're looking for, is right here. And right here, there is nobody experiencing life. There is nothing experiencing this. And because there is nothing that's experiencing this, there's no location that's experiencing it, by default it means that everything is experiencing itself, which is so beautiful. So you aren't limited inside the body. You don't exist inside the body. It's an idea that makes it feel like you exist inside the body. Right here, who am I speaking to? Who is looking at me? Who? So what's actually happening right now? Because what happens is the mind is thinking, becomes reality, becomes true for people, becomes what people believe is real, and they have no separation from that. They have no distance. It's just fact that the grass is green, there's a tree over there, I'm looking at the tree, I'm sitting, watching the computer, listening to Lisa, and that becomes your reality. But what's actually happening now? Who's actually listening to Lisa? Who's actually sitting on the chair? Who's looking at the wall or the tree? In this moment, there's nobody. Where is the location of this person? The person reports back in thought, I'm inside the head, I'm inside the body. But that's not the experience. The experience is nothing is experiencing itself as everything. If you want to put it in easier language, you could say the consciousness is experiencing itself. But that consciousness is mystery. The consciousness is not a thing. Doesn't actually exist, consciousness, but it's easier to say that because we have more relatable language, especially if you're not first language English. And the consciousness has a best friend, and the best friend is the I am. And some teachers teach the consciousness is aware of the I am or presence. But as you get more and more into this subject, you see that presence and consciousness are the same thing. The beingness and the consciousness are everywhere and nowhere. They're not actually presence and they're not actually consciousness. They don't exist as a thing, but yeah, they are all things. And the I am side is love, and the consciousness is emptiness. And they're the bridge between nothing and everything. You could say it like that. But please take everything I say as a way to unpick your concepts, because you know the truth, because the truth is you. It's just you're lost in concepts. You believe yourself to be real. You believe yourself to be someone. And as soon as that separation happens, there's always a sense that you've lost love, because your essence is love. So you always have this sense of looking for love everywhere. And even though you can't perceive it because it's an unconscious act, in everything you do, everywhere you go, you're always looking for love. In your lover, in your work, you're looking for home. And love is the end of seeking. It's rest. It's who you are. You look for it in people, in actions, in being validated, in good emotions, in positive emotions. And as soon as you have a negative emotion, you think that that is moving away from love, and the positive emotions are moving towards love. And that's not true, and that creates this seeking dynamic. It's seeking to always hold on to positive emotions, just like you're trying to hold on to positive experiences which create positive emotions. So buying a house, keeping a house, having children, going on holidays, traveling the world, having dogs, cats, hamsters, snakes. All these things are an attempt to hold on to a positive emotion. So when you buy the house, it gives you a positive emotion. And you want to, the positive emotion that you want to get to is this feeling like you've arrived, feeling like you're home. And when you have a positive emotion, you do feel more home because your seeking energy dissipates. So when you get the house or the lover or the cat or the dog, you know, you've been wanting it, you get it, and there's a relaxation that happens of wanting something in the future, of wanting something else but presence. So this relaxation happens, and there is a sense of love, a sense of being complete. But then the mind comes up with a new thing it wants, the next thing, the next thing. And never ends when you believe that freedom is in the object of the mind. So it's in a thing. So it was in getting the house, in getting the lover, in getting the dog. And then the mind looks for the next thing, and you think that it's in the activity of getting and having a positive feeling. And you think when you have a negative feeling like fear, anger, jealousy, greed, selfishness, that you've lost home, because when you have these negative emotions, you then begin to feel guilty or bad about having them, and you want to run away from it. So you feel really uncomfortable about their appearance, and you try desperately to run away from it. And and you feel really uncomfortable that you did that. Say if you were really greedy and wanted to eat all the potato chips and didn't want your guests to have any of the potato chips, then you'd feel really bad, like you've done something really wrong. And then you begin to imagine what they think of you and why you always like this. Or say with money, you screw up with money. And then you get into this cycle of trying to avoid that negative experience because you want to avoid the negative feeling, which is, say, guilt around money or anxiety or fear around money. And something that I've noticed from working with people is, though, that a lot of people are totally cut off from emotions. It seems that you get different personality types. So you get a personality type which is overwhelmed by emotions, and they can't regulate their emotions, and they're very emotional, and everything is very emotional to them. And then you get on the opposite spectrum, or the opposite side, a personality type who cannot feel their emotions and don't know what their emotions are. And if you ask them to feel what's going on inside their body, they can't feel an emotion inside their body. And sometimes they'll say it's in my head, and sometimes they'll say they don't feel it, which is impossible. You must feel emotions. So say if you're angry, you have to feel it somewhere. Like, the anger isn't just a thought. You have to feel that anger, otherwise the thought would just be empty. The thought would be easy. It would be like, they're an asshole, but there would be no feeling of anger. It's that anger, like that feeling where it bubbles up in your body. Like, whoop! And so the people that are totally cut off from their feelings is, I think, what's happened, and from what psychologists say, actually psychologists don't speak about it that much, but from other therapists that are in alternative therapists, is that you put your attention in your brain in here. So your sense of self feels like it's here, and you put your attention there. So the person puts all the attention on thinking. So it's not experiencing life through its feelings anymore, it's experiencing life through its thoughts. So it doesn't know what it feels, it just knows what it thinks. And I think that this can create a deadness. It could potentially create depression or a coldness. It might also be a type of person which explodes in rage every so often, like they suppress. And so they're just a walking eyes and head. And then you get other people that are totally overwhelmed by their emotions, all the time being overwhelmed by it. Like everything is emotional to them. And neither one's right or wrong. But to me, waking up is like a complete dropping into the body, and then the body is life. That sounds odd, but it's like a full embracing of an emotion, because really this body is the external world. So my body doesn't end here, your body doesn't end here, there. Your body, your feelings, your sensations are the external world. So you might think that you're seeing the tree over there, but actually there is seeing happening. The same with feeling. You think that you're feeling the table or feeling the computer, that you are feeling it, but actually there is simply feeling. And the direct experience isn't that you're feeling a computer, there is feeling happening. The same with sight. There is sight happening, the same with sound. You're not hearing me, there is sound happening, and that is who you are in this moment. That's presence. That's the core of being, that's the core of life. But the person is lost in their story of it. I'm listening. That's so mental that you're listening. There is simply sound happening. There is feeling happening. And the same with emotions. Like, the emotions actually don't belong inside your body. The emotions are actually everywhere because your body is everywhere. There isn't this space and this distance between you and the objects. So when you have anger, it's actually life that feels it. But what it feels like in awakening is that you drop back into your body. So when you feel anger, in one way you could say there is anger in the solar plexus, but it's also life has that anger. In the direct moment of it, anger is everywhere. And it feels like my attention went from here to dropping into the body, and then this expansiveness. And the feelings of the body are, to me, more important than the thinking about the situation. The thinking is important, but feelings come first. I mean, if you think about it, feelings, not just emotional feelings, but all senses, are way more important than just thinking. So thinking, if you think of thinking as another sense, so instead of 5 senses, you have 6 senses. So you think of it as another sense. Like, we take this thinking, this 6th sense, to be the most important thing. So when we make a choice or a decision, we do it all through thinking. But we've got 5 other senses, and then if we include the 7th of emotions, so you've got the sense of emotion, the sense of sound, touch, taste, sight, and hearing. And so when you make a choice, it's like the attention shouldn't just be in thinking. Thinking is only 1/7 of the experience. Then there's lots of others. That's just limited to our words. So there's lots of other experiences happening. So when I'm sitting with somebody, I'm more aware of what I'm feeling, or there's more attention in the feeling than there is about the thoughts about the situation. Thinking is important. I'm not saying ignore thinking, but my physical response to someone is way more important than the thoughts about someone. And it's kind of you, all of it. Your feeling about them, your thoughts about them, everything is kind of you. In the bigger sense, in the ultimate sense. Like your feeling and them are the same. It's like the sight of them and the feeling of them are the same thing. The sound of them and the feeling of them are the same thing. We're totally told to ignore emotional feelings, though. They're so super important. Like, they're not inside you, they're happening everywhere. So you could even say, when they experience anger, you experience anger. When they experience jealousy, you experience jealousy. But don't worry about it if you're getting confused. Because everything you perceive about them is you, on the ultimate sense, and on the bodily sense, there's nothing outside the projection of the brain. So everything that you feel and think about them is a projection of your brain. Everything that's happening is God. Everything that's happening is the divine. The words coming out of this, it doesn't really matter what's yours or what's not, like on the human level. It's that everything is life's, God's, the divine's experience, their voice and your voice. Everything is that infinite power. Everything you see now, everything you feel, everything you touch is life's, is the divine's. This is what the human's forgotten, that your words don't come out of a person. Your words are coming out of the Creator. Your sight doesn't come from a person. It's not a person experiencing the sight. It comes from the Creator. Everything is life's dream. It's so beautiful. You don't have any problems. You just keep dreaming that you have problems. Where are your problems now? Where? Where are problems? Your body is uncomfortable, your feeling body is uncomfortable because you've been living a lie and you're detoxing from that lie. You've been living a lie that you are separate, so you've been having feelings, emotional feelings that follow that idea that you're separate, that it's your fault, that you're guilty, that you did something wrong, that you could have done it differently. And all these thoughts create difficult emotional reactions. And what you've got to get to, which isn't your doing because you don't exist, but what's got to happen is this flexibility of mind to let all the emotions pass through and not freaking touch them. Just let them come and go. Not try to avoid them, not try to push them away, not try to live in your head, but just let them come and go and come and go. So now if I'm making you feel really ecstatic, it's not holding on to that, not creating a story around it, just letting that static feeling come and go. If you feel guilty, it's just letting that feeling of guilt come and go. You can work it out to an extent, but only in a limited way, like not spend the next 10 years trying to work out which parent gave you the guilt. It's like you can investigate it a bit to understand it, but don't put too much effort into that. It's more about feeling that feeling, letting the guilt be there. And then you can begin to transform it by saying the opposite. I'm not guilty. I am innocent. And as that feeling begins to transform, so as it stops being stuck in the negative, and the only reason I'm helping you get out of the negative is not because it's about trying to get away from negative feelings, it's because you got stuck in them. When you identified, you got stuck in negative emotions because you got afraid of negative emotions and tried to avoid them. And through the act of trying to avoid them, you encourage them. It's like if I say to you, don't think about an elephant, don't think about an elephant. All you can think about is an elephant. So it's like, don't feel fear, mustn't feel fear. All you can feel is fear. Don't feel guilty, mustn't feel guilty. Don't make anyone feel bad, mustn't make anyone feel bad. And then you're encouraging it. So you can transform those emotions because your chakras have got stuck. But don't spend too much time thinking about it. It's about coming back to presence. So you allow that difficult feeling of guilt to be there, and more than likely guilt is going to be either in the heart or the solar plexus, but mostly the heart. So I'm guilty, and you can chant it, I'm guilty, and when you're ready you can say, I'm innocent, I've always been innocent. And feel that chakra open, and as it opens, then you go, I am, and you go back to presence. I am, this is. And it's free. That's another thing you can do, is keep moving your attention back to presence. And if you feel that you're getting stuck, then you can book a one-to-one session with me. You can call in these live sessions, but don't allow yourself to keep staying in the same story again and again and again. Should I leave my partner for 20 years? It's a story. If I make more money for 20 years, I'll arrive if I make more money. 20 years it goes on. If I make my mother understand for 30, 40 years. Don't get stuck. It's thoughts, it's emotions stuck. The emotion's stuck and it's creating the thought again and again and again and again and again and again. This is freedom. Your presence is freedom, and it's seeing through all the illusions of the thinking mind to coming back to this. What is? Don't even let non-duality get you stuck. Don't let this get you stuck. Don't let there is no doer get you stuck. There's nothing to be done. And before that, before you got into non-duality, you were saying there was nothing to be done because you couldn't do it. Like if you're getting stuck on the thought, there's nothing to be done, it's most probably a powerless feeling that you're getting stuck on underneath that. It's always you're getting stuck on emotions and then believing the thoughts are true, and it's seeing that none of it's true. So the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree for 40 days and 40 nights, and the illusion, Maya, so the illusion of the mind presented heaven, virgins, women, big boobies, money, palaces, beauty. And the Buddha touched none of it. Just came and went, came and went. None of that is his freedom. It's not that you can't have beauty, but he didn't take it, the beauty was there presenting itself, but he didn't take it as giving him freedom. Didn't give him anything. What you really look for your whole entire life is presence, not a thing. So he didn't associate that any of that gave him freedom, or that any of that reflected back at him. And it's the same with the hell. The hell presented itself: war, violence, obsessive thinking, hatred, revenge, jealousy. And instead of going sucked into them, he just let them present themselves. Identified with nothing. Nothing is him. He didn't even identify with him being this Buddha that wasn't being attached to the feelings or thoughts. They just came and went and came and went. And then after 40 days and 40 nights, poof, there was this massive disidentification with the body-mind, this dropping back into love, the Buddha nature that was always there. Yeah, ta 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 ta. You are free right now. You can drop out of all of that bullshit right now, right here. This is it. This is freedom. And even though it sounds like I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to you, because you, the illusory you, cannot listen. The illusory you can't hear. That person is being experienced. The one that says, what she says is interesting. That person is being experienced by this infinite space, by divine. That's not you. You're not limited to this person. I have to investigate my emotions. But that's not you. It's not you. You are this infinite space. And we can sort out the person to an extent, deal with the personal stuff to an extent, but then coming back to see none of it's you. You are free. You're right here. And most of your questions will come from a personal dynamic. So people always get frustrated listening to questions because they can't bear listening to people's personal dynamics. But even if you were to ask, why does consciousness hide? That's most probably a personal dynamic. It's an emotion in you arising. Like, why is it hiding from me? And there's this sad child that feels like its parents have left him or her. Why is consciousness hiding from me? And there's this identification with abandonment that's happened in that person's life. And it's seeing it's not true. You've got a feeling of abandonment, and then your mind comes up with questions based on that feeling. So you embrace the feeling of abandonment. You let it in, and then you say, I'm not abandoned, to help it balance the emotion. And then in that there is presence. There you are in the center of all things. There's nothing to run away from in time. There is nothing to get in time. Your freedom is the timeless, and the timeless is a mystery. It's an absolute mystery. and it's free. Okay, I take questions now.